I am almost positive that I have solved the upcoming plot of the new miniseries Fiona and Cake. That's a huge claim to make, I know, but trust me, hear me out, and all of this will make sense. Let's start off. Oh, I got you. Before we get into this, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps. All right, now for real this time. This is what we know so far about the plot of the upcoming miniseries Fiona and Cake. Let me just read it out to you. Fiona and Cake, with the help of the former Ice King, he's now Simon Petrikov, embark on a multiverse-hopping adventure and journey of self-discovery. All the while, a powerful new antagonist determined to track them down and erase them from existence lurks in the shadows. Interesting. Okay. Now, to fully understand this, let's take a step back. What is Fiona and Cake? Well, we first have to understand that the multiverse is canon in Adventure Time. There are other universes and other dimensions that exist within Adventure Time. We see this perfectly with Farm World, where we see Farm World Finn and Farm World Jake. Okay, so then the next step is Fiona and Cake just another universe? This is where things get tricky, because technically, yes, it is. But when we first get introduced to Fiona and Cake, it's not through that. It's through Ice King's fanfiction. Now, we learn later down the line, the Ice King gets beamed these stories at night from who knows where, and then spins them up to form his own stories, very notably seeing that Fiona and Cake have a very large crush for the Ice King. So the answer is that it's most likely both. I believe that the Fiona and Cake universe does exist, and they follow their own adventures, but I think the ones that we see through Simon are his own little spin-offs of Fiona and Cake. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, what does this all mean? And how does it have anything to do with the new Fiona and Cake series? Well, the biggest thing that stands out to me is, why is Simon there? As far as we know, Simon doesn't have any connection to Fiona and Cake whatsoever. That was the Ice King. And we know that Simon can't really remember what the Ice King thinks, just the bruises that he gets. So why is Simon with Fiona and Cake? It doesn't make any sense. I believe that the Fiona and Cake stories that the Ice King made are a direct reflection of what Betty and Simon's relationship used to be like. Another huge claim, I know, but trust me, hear me out, let me explain. There are several clues throughout the show that hint at this being the case, and I think the most powerful one is in the last episode, Come Along With Me, where when the Ice King tries to stop Betty from harnessing the power of GOLB, he sings a song to her. But we've actually heard this song before. It's when Prince Gumball sings it to Fiona. By the way, this is a banger song. I don't know why, but I just really like this song. That doesn't have anything to do with this, but we know that Prince Gumball sings this song to Fiona, and yet Betty thinks that it's Simon singing the song to her. So in that case, that would mean Prince Gumball is reflected by Simon and Fiona is reflected by Betty. Now this is huge. This brings a lot of implications to a lot of things. But hear me out. First of all, if you recall to that episode in which Prince Gumball sings to Fiona, we know that it's not actually Prince Gumball. It's the Ice Queen dressed up as Prince Gumball in this skin suit. Now, this is just another striking similarity between Simon and Betty, and you can think of it as the Ice King and Simon. The Ice King isn't Simon at all. And like that episode shows, the Ice King is literally just like a zipper, a skin suit of what Simon actually is. I just thought this was a really unique similarity between Simon and Betty's relationship, and how Betty spends her entire life trying to get back, unzip the Ice King to get her Simon back. But that's not all. Prince Gumball and Simon actually share a lot of similarities. They're both bookworms and love learning. Now you could say that this is just a reflection of what Princess Bubblegum is, but still, I think the similarities are there. Now, this is where things get a little tricky again, because although the Fiona and Cake universe exists, I don't know that if these stories that Ice King are coming up with are actually true to that universe. And if they aren't, I think it could be Ice King's subconscious on a very deep level that Simon resides in, making these stories up, Ice King thinking that they're his own, and that could be a way of Simon residing deep down in the Ice King to still remember Betty. Okay, now that's the Fiona and Cake part of this theory, and what I believe is true. Okay, but I already hear you typing in the comments below. What about Marshall? At one point, Fiona and Marshall definitely had something going. Does that mean that Betty was cheating on Simon? I hear you out, and let me say, no. If you recall to that episode, that story between Marceline and Fiona wasn't actually Simon's, it was Marceline's. As the Ice King was sharing his stories with his kidnapped princesses, Marceline was secretly overlooking and offered a better story. And then that leads into the Marceline and Fiona thing. So technically, that actually wasn't Ice King's story at all. And he actually doesn't even really like it. He thinks his own is better. So there's that out of the way. But let's say that because Marceline thought of it, it's now an in existence. Because apparently that's how the Adventure Time universe works. You know, I got a smooth brain. I just watch a show, and if I like it, I'm like, ooh, good show. I don't really understand the whole dreamer thing of the Adventure Time universe. But as far as I know, it goes like this. Whatever you believe or dream to be, therefore is. So technically, by Marceline speaking this into existence, therefore it is. So let's go with that case, right? And in that case, then the characters that inhabit the Fiona and Cake universe could just be problems that Simon and Betty faced throughout the relationship. Marceline, for example, doesn't exactly have to mean a romantic relationship between Betty and somebody else, but it could symbolize a problem or conflict in their relationship that they had to overcome together, or that Betty had to overcome by herself. But that's the extreme case. I don't think that's the case, but just leaving that out. Okay, now this is the icing on the cake. This is what I think really ties this theory in together to give it some merit. And that's about the new antagonist that is trying to erase Fiona, Cake, and Simon from existence. And who's the only person that we know can do that in the Adventure Time universe? It's GOLB. But if you remember, didn't Betty fuse with GOLB in the series finale? Why would Betty be trying to erase Simon from existence? Doesn't make any sense. Well, here it is. This is the finale. This is the icing on the cake. Betty has lost her mind to GOLB. Betty doesn't exist inside of GOLB anymore. She did at first, when they first fused, just enough to leave Ooh and save Ooh and Simon, but as time progressed, her case got worse and she eventually lost her mind completely. Now, does this scenario sound familiar? Well, it should, because this is exactly what happened to Simon and how Betty made it her life's goal to save Simon and get his mind back. This is the exact same thing that's happening to Betty. I believe that she slowly lost her mind to GOLB, and now her mind's not even there anymore, which sets up Fiona, Cake, and Simon to help Betty to finally save Betty from GOLB and get her mind back. This would be a perfect loop. At first, it was Betty saving Simon from the crown and getting his mind back, and now it's Simon saving Betty from GOLB trying to get her mind back. That's the only other reason that GOLB, now fused with Betty, will be trying to erase Simon from existence, is because Betty's not there anymore. Her mind has completely vanished, and now it's Simon's job and his life mission to save Betty and get her mind back. I think that's the perfect ending to this story. It's so good, and it's very possible that we could see this in the upcoming series, and what I believe what we will see. Now, there's a lot of loose ends to this theory. I do realize that, and the Fiona and Cake story being a reflection of Simon and Betty could be wrong. That's a bit of a stretch, at least in the universe part. I believe the Ice King stories might be a reflection of their relationship because Simon resides deep down in the Ice King, and he's subconsciously putting these stories into the Ice King's mind. But the ending, where GOLB has completely taken over Betty, and now Simon has to get Betty's mind back, I think that's totally possible. Overall, I just think that could be how we see this new series play out. And yes, there's a lot of flaws with this theory, there's a lot of loose ends, but please tell me about them. I probably missed a lot of things, a lot of episodes that prove this theory totally wrong. I know Fiona and Cake was started off just to be something for the fans, but I do think it has progressed over time to be something a lot deeper. So please let me know what you think about this theory. I know it's out there, but I hope some of these points may have changed your mind. And there's only one way to tell if this was right, and that's to wait for the new series to come out, which I heard it's pretty close to coming out, so hopefully soon. But thank you guys again so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, and as always, stay adventurous. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I've always loved cartoons, and I still do, so I thought, why not make a YouTube channel about it? So if you guys want to watch more videos like this, be sure to check out my channel. And again, thank you guys so much for watching.